back with another book review. This is Born Reckless by Keary. It is the first book in the Blood Rose Knights series. It is another spin-off of the Descendants universe. I know I'm making my way through that series. Here is the summary. So, I did enjoy Juliet's character. Interesting backstory, although it feels a lot like Logan's. So it's weird to, I guess, feel like you got two down and out girls in a row, but that's okay. Still good, I enjoyed it. I was thinking and hoping it would take off after the Crown of Death series. If you haven't checked out those books or seen my reviews on them, I'd go check them out or read them because there will be spoilers in these reviews for this series going forward for the Descendants universe. So we have Juliet. She was passed around from foster home to foster home growing up. She didn't have a good life and she's finally out on her own. She's trying to become a doctor and she is in the last stages of her internship. Her best friend Elena, they end up going out one night and they come across a dude that threatens Elena, and Juliet is like, no one's gonna mess with my bestie, and then dies. Now, if you have seen my previous reviews on the Descendants universe, such as Garden of Thorns and Crown of Death, you know all about these vampires. For those of you who don't, welcome. You have to die to become a vampire in this one. So basically what it is there are born vampires, royal vampires, and bitten vampires. The royal vampires come directly from King Cyrus, and the born don't. The born are born from a vampire daddy and a human mommy. And then there are the bitten, which are the normal ones that we're used to, like a muffy where they get bitten, they can turn into a vampire. Juliet turns out to be one of these. And the night they went out, Elena wanted to introduce Juliet to her brother because she thought they'd be perfect together, because he is under a lot of pressure to produce an heir because he is a royal, but he is a human currently because he hasn't wanted to change. Elena, on the other hand, got impatient and changed herself. They head off to Chicago, where there is mass influx of vampires and people with special abilities. Juliet and Mason, Elena's twin brother, they have the hots for each other, like insanely. And it is from the first moment. It's not insta-love, it is insta-lust. There's a little bit of romance with that. Other than that, we're dealing with Juliet's backstory. We're learning all about her. We're learning about the vampires. We're learning about the houses. I have to describe the houses again. The royal born have specific houses all over the world. There are 3 in America. Those are the ones we care about because we're in America. Chicago is kind of on the outskirts, so it's not as regulated as the other areas. We meet the Knight Council, which has Elena and her brother and a few other characters, and we meet Roman, who is definitely super attractive, but he's like so abrasive, and she's like, oh, I don't like him. And I'm like, I feel like I have a theory they're gonna end up together in the end. It's a dumb theory. That's all I could think about because they're both reckless. So that's all I could think about. Her and Mason, they are a thing for just a little bit, but Elena is like, no, you can't be with him because you can't produce an heir because she died, and you can't have babies as a vampire woman. So they can't be together because of that. There's also a new development with the vampires and these gifted individuals. I don't like to say witches because I hate witches, and they don't call themselves witches, so they're not witches to me. They're just people with abilities. They're superheroes, they're superpowers, whatever. New developments, and we learn about Juliet's actual history and who her parents actually are, and we learn about a serial killer. I'm excited for what's coming for this series. The only gripe I have is I feel like she was too open with Mason. I understand that sometimes people with a lot of trauma can either info dump or they can just wall off. I kind of wanted her to wall off and then slowly crack and divulge the information slowly, but I understand why it happened the way it did. I just feel like I would have liked that better, just because I'm someone who will accidentally info dump the clothes off. So, and with how she kind of grew up, I was like, I wish that she would have just waited like 2 seconds. I love feeling how she is so desperate to get this blood and all this, and how Mason always smells like a snack because he is human, and I really like that dynamic. I don't really like the repetitiveness of, she's like, I'm reckless. It's my middle name. I'm reckless. There's a few things I just wish weren't repeated as much as they are, and it was the same like that for me for Garden of Thorns. Crown of Death didn't have that very much, and if it did, it worked, and it wasn't as much. Garden of Thorns also had like, oh, you're great, you're perfect, you're wonderful, blah 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 blah, just reiterating that she's great even though she hasn't really done anything great. This one, Juliet, she does do some really cool stuff. She is great. She is going to be a doctor, all that. So I just wish that she wasn't like, I'm reckless, like so many times and whatever. But other than that, it's shaping up to be a really interesting story, and the cliffhangers were really good. I am excited to see what new things happen in this universe. And if that sounds interesting to you, if you want to go check it out, the link and the description are in the description. This is actually book 2 of Blood Rose Nights by Keary Taylor, Born Savage. This will contain spoilers for House of Royals, for Crown of Death, for Garden of Thorns, and also for Blood Rose Nights, obviously. So if you haven't checked out those series, go ahead and check them out. They're all in the same universe, same vampires, with overlapping characters. So, very end of the last one. Juliet died, but she came back. Turns out her mom's power was weaving curses, and she cursed her daughter to never die. So guess who can't die? So she'll keep dying and resurrecting if like staked or whatever, so she cannot die. Roman knows about this, even though she's like the last person I want to know. She ends up starting to like for Sebastian and falling for him, and they end up really falling in love because neither of them have met another person who has seen as much pain as them, and they understand each other. Another development, there's a necromancer, and he wants to bring to life this cult leader that the Night Council had killed once before, named Archer, and he does. He finds him and brings him back. Whenever they get a hold of this guy, they force him to resurrect a few people that have died because of this Archer. Archer, what he does is he steals people's abilities and then it ends up killing them, which is what happened to Juliet's mom, as we learned from the delve into her past we had last time. So it's cool to see like the little zombie-ish stuff. They weren't really zombies. It was cool watching them return to their normal form because of it. And I'm wondering what things might occur because of this new development. And I'm just so curious. Like, what if a vampire dies and then they bring back to life a vampire? Are they gonna be a vampire again, or are they gonna be human again? I wanna know. It'll probably be a vampire, but hear me out. How cool would that be if it reverted them back to their human form because they're alive again and then they have to die again to become a born again? That'd be cool. I don't think it'll work that way, but that'd be cool. We also see a few new abilities. We get to see some fighting. Juliet is finally a doctor, and Sebastian actually makes her a co-partner over his hospital. So that's cool. The book ends with a big question on what Juliet's gonna do, because everything that happens kind of poses a question, and it takes the question of, would you trade the world for this person, and takes it in a literal way, and it asks how far is too far for the person that you love. And I think that is such an interesting way of putting it, especially with people, you know, loving villains because they would burn the world down. But that's the world you live in. Those are people that you know. Those are people. It's where's the line? And I think that's an interesting question to pose. I didn't get to talk about the Crown of Death and really interesting thing about it because my phone died and I had to finish the clip and I couldn't remember where I ended off. So, Crown of Death, it was a lot like the pursuit of knowledge and the repercussions of that, because the more knowledge you gain, the less compassion you have, is kind of the scale in which it tips. And also the downfalls of immortality and greed and all that. This one, so far, it feels kind of episodic, but from the second book, that's what I've kind of gleaned from it, is where's the line? How far is too far? And I really liked that a lot. I know that question is more in your face, but it's really an interesting one. Also, I'm still team Roman. So we're gonna see, just because they now share so many secrets and Juliet is keeping so many secrets from the people that she loves because they're dangerous. And with Roman knowing all these things and her being like, there's no one who really gets me like that. Oh honey, there is now. And you don't like him right now, but I know it. I know it. I don't know, they're gonna end up together somehow, even with all the Sebastian things. And with the questions posed at the end, I can see more of that ending. So, we've had 2 books, 2 romances. I do appreciate the more episodic kind of version of this. Episodic as in there's something that happens in each book so far and alludes to something else happening, but it focuses on one thing at a time. So I appreciate that. I'm excited to see where the 3rd one takes us. I'll see you in the next one. This is Born Chaos by Keary Taylor, book 3, Blood Rose Nights. Here's a summary. Alright, so Juliet and Sebastian get engaged. There's a lot of sweet moments around that. and I really did enjoy that. Juliet starts seeing some red flags, but she kind of ignores them. She's like, huh, okay. But I understand her ignoring it, considering both of their backgrounds. And some of the things he says, it's like, okay. And a lot of girls actually would brush past that. I feel like Sebastian's behavior throughout the book is something girls swoon over for the wrong reasons. Some girls really like possessive guys, and they like guys who will burn the world down to save you. But you know, you live in that world. If it gets burned down, what's gonna happen to you? I love the idea of there being a pathogen or something happening that hinders the vampires and the gifted. It was really interesting, and I was kind of looking forward to hearing exactly what it was. Watching Juliet try to figure out what's going on with them was entertaining and had me right there beside her trying to figure it out. I am still rooting for Roman. Hi. I love the sides of Roman that we do get to see. He's getting softer and he understands a lot when it comes to her. She thought that she hated him, but he's the one with all of her secrets. And I think that's a really good dynamic, especially for someone who feels that she does need to hide away and like she can't really open up to many people because of things going on and because she's trying to stay safe and keep those she loves safe. So it's getting more difficult to be honest when it comes to her and her abilities. Also, we get to see her ability. It was kind of an interesting way to introduce it, but it was entertaining nonetheless, and I was really wondering whenever her powers would kick in, and I think it's interesting it has to do with her curse. Long story short, I did enjoy this book. It does feel like a middle book, because it has all the past stuff that happened in the last books, and it has the potential for the next 2 books that I will be reading. That being said, when I say it feels like a middle book, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way, because it does feel like the story is halfway over, and I'm enjoying the journey it's taking me on. I am still enjoying the way it kind of feels like a series, or like it's serialized. Like there's something that happens in each book. It's not just dragged out across the whole thing. Of course, the characters are, and a few of the things going on do get dragged across the books. I'm not saying that it gets dragged out, I'm saying that it's just brought through each of the books. But I do enjoy a central plot for each of them. I am terrible at central plots for one book at a time, and I'm getting better at it as I work on my Underdogs series. But I do kind of enjoy that. We're not facing the same problem every time. Every time they're learning, they're growing, they're falling back and growing once more. It's really cool to see. I am enjoying the progress of the characters, and it is a lot easier to follow along with all these characters, easier than it was for House of Royals and Garden of Thorns. And I'm not sure if it's because I'm just getting better at remembering names, or if she's being more descriptive with each character every time we kind of see them. So either way, for some reason, I am paying more attention or keeping track of these characters better. But I really enjoyed this book. I am excited to see where it ended on an unsteady foot, I guess is what I can say, because someone gets away and we gotta go find them. We gotta figure it out. We gotta figure out this stuff that's ailing everybody, even though we know who did it now. I'm excited. So that's it for that one. Thanks for watching. This was a quick one. I don't really have anything to gush over because I don't want to spoil anything, but I did really enjoy this, and I loved watching things dawn to Juliet that dawned to me either right before or right at the same time. It was really nice to see. This is book 4. Yeah, book 4 in the Blood Rose Night series by Keary Taylor. Born Wicked. First off, we got Roman. Oh, I'm sorry, Piggy. I didn't mean to scare you. Let me scratch. So Sebastian goes missing. We got more people, more vampires, more gifted, getting sick. What else we got? We got Roman. That's all I care about. No, I'm kidding. But it's really cool watching Juliet try to figure out everything with what's going on with sickness, how to fix it, how to take care of it, all while dealing with a sheriff change. I don't know if that's the right one, but there is a shift in cops. There is a new person ahead of it because the last guy retired. So this new chick, she is determined to figure out where Sebastian went, and she is sure that Juliet and or Roman killed him. Roman does take the blame for it, knowing that Juliet will take care of it. I think the only complaint I really have about this one is the antidote was found a little too fast, but I also understand because Sebastian reached out. I do like everything wrapped up in this book. and I really enjoyed it. One of the things I love most about Keary Taylor books is the characters' dynamics and relationships. Without that, you don't really have much of a story. Well, I guess you would, but it's not the same. You need those dynamics and those relationships to keep people interested and to make it interesting, and not everyone likes one specific type of character, so having a plethora of characters is always really good, except whenever you can't really follow them, which is my complaint about House of Royals a long time ago, because I kept forgetting who was who. Everyone starts waking up, and yay, they have a kind of like a ball to announce that Juliet is now part of the council, and then romance, and then plot twist. And I'm so excited because Roman doesn't know who he was before he woke up in that landfill, and it's exciting to see where that will go. I don't know what I'm doing. I have something in front of me, so I'm playing with it. That's all this is. And I think this helps my brain work. I did really enjoy Juliet's realization of how she felt about Roman. Because it's not always like, yeah, I know I like this person. It's a, oh, I like this person. What am I going to do about it? And I really appreciated that. I liked that. It was a lot of fun. A little bit steamy, but not really. Yeah, I don't know. I really liked it. Like this series a lot more than I thought I would so far. So yeah. Anyway, that's really all. These books are kind of short, so there's not a lot to go over. But I hope you enjoyed watching this. I thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Hello and welcome to my crazy background. I don't know. One day I'll fix it. Anyway, I'm back with another review. Boop. This is Born Free, book 5 of Blood Rose Nights. It would be book 5. There it is. So we left off with Orlando. Roman's brother Orlando showing up. He is a royal, and Roman is the rightful heir to one of the houses in Spain, I think. Anyway, long story short, he is here to, it seems, to reconcile with his brother, but also he's a younger sibling, and someone had killed Roman, whose name is actually Andreas. Anyway, Orlando can't find out about how they're running the city, how it's not house ran, it's ran by a council, by the Night Council, all the while scrutinizing Juliet and making comments at her that I like, really do? Really? They can't tell if he's there to hurt Roman, to scope out the area, or if he's actually there for what he says and wants to reconcile with his brother. It's all up in the air. They're running around trying to make sure that they're hiding from Orlando and his dudes, and then Orlando actually figures it out and demands to give it back to the House of Alloway, who we know from Garden of Thorns and House of Royals are terrible people. Vampires? Whatever. Long story short, there's a plot twist and a cool thing that they end up doing to get Orlando off of their backs, and Roman have like this really cool bond thing that happens, and they're tethered to each other for the rest of eternity now, and I really, really, really liked that part. I like when characters give up their lives for one another. It's the ultimate sacrifice. Even in the Bible, it's the ultimate sacrifice. That's like the whole thing about what Jesus did, you know? So I appreciate that, and I hold that in high regard when it comes to characters and love and all that jazz. So yeah, overall, I enjoyed this series a lot more than I thought. I was kind of bummed that it didn't take off after Crown of Bones, because we had House of Royals, then we had Garden of Thorns, then we had Crown of Bones, Crown of Ruin, Crown of Death, all those. Can't remember which one's first. We had those, and then Bloody Rose Nights is like before. I want to say it's before because I think it's before Olivia joins House of Royals. So I was kind of bummed at first. I was like, what do you mean it's not a continuation? But I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought. I really liked Juliet's character a lot. She was really different from the other girls in the series. I was trying to decide if I liked her or Olivia better, because I don't know. It's been a while since I've read House of Royals. But I think I like Olivia more just because the OG, you know what I mean? I didn't like Elle so much, and I think that's because of the situation she was put in for her books. But I think it's because I felt like her book should have been dual point of view with Lexington. But Juliet was a great character. I loved her. I loved that we didn't have one central romance actually between these 5 books. We had Mason at first, who she knew wouldn't last, and I appreciated that fact, and I really liked that they were able to be friends afterwards. Because it is possible. It might be difficult for specific people, but it is possible. And I enjoyed that. And then we had Sebastian, who she thought it was end all, be all, because they were so much alike. But they were too much alike. And one of them had fallen off the deep end with protection. Sebastian could have been great for her if only there weren't those red flags there, and if only he wasn't so possessive. Some girls like that, which to the extent he went to, I feel like it's really too much. But I appreciate it because it does show specifically for the girls that do like that thing. It shows where the limit is, and it shows you should have a limit when it comes to those people, those kinds of people, and you shouldn't be pushed around like that. You should be your own person, and you shouldn't have to have someone like that in your life if you're whatever. And then we have Roman, who harbored all her secrets and accepted her for who she is, not who she could be, not who she was, not how much alike they were. He accepted her for who she was and for her, despite her mistakes, and appreciated her in a way that she needed to be appreciated. They complemented each other well, unlike the other two. I really enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed this series. I loved the ending. It was heartwarming, and I just loved it. I loved that ending. That was so cool. If you're interested in it, go check it out. The link is in the description, and so is the description. And yeah, thanks for watching. And if you've sat through all of my Descendants Universe, through all my Descendants Universe books that I've read, thank you so much. I do hope you've enjoyed them. I hope you checked them out at least once. Keary Taylor is definitely worth reading. I love her characters. I love her romantic relationships. And yeah, I want to reread her Branded series because that's what first started me off on that. That is what kicked me off in knowing I could self-publish. And here I am, 66 books deep, and I am not showing any signs of stopping soon. So it's worth it. I love her books, and I hope you do too. Go check them out. I'll see you in the next one.